Venison, as you know, is very low in fat and will oxidise if left out in the air. So it's a good idea with small cuts, particularly cuts like medallions and steaks, to cover them with some oil. Just a plain vegetable oil is fine. It just seals the meat off from the air, blocks out the oxygen, stops it oxidising and dehydrating, and keeps the meat beautifully fresh and its natural meat colour. And that will store for about 3 to 5 days in the cooler, providing it's kept between 1 and 4 degrees Celsius. It's a good idea to cover that with a little bit of plastic wrap to stop any foreign bits getting into it in the cooler. Same with stir fry. This meat is best cut fresh before you use it to retain its natural colour. And I'm going to marinate that slightly. Now, marinating venison is not necessary for tenderising because the meat is already beautifully tender. It's been aged in the vacuum bag. All we're doing is imparting a particular flavour to the dish. So by using a marinade such as this, which is a typical marinade used in Southeast Asia or Asia, soy sauce and ginger and garlic, some toasted sesame seeds and a little hoisin sauce, we just moisten the meat with it, mix it up well so that the meat is nicely moistened. Allow the meat to stand in the marinade for 10 to 15 minutes maximum. You don't want to leave it in too long because the meat starts to get hydrated with the marinade and spoils the natural meat flavour. So it's just to add flavour to it, not to disguise the flavour of the meat, because we don't want to lose that beautiful, fresh, lovely meat flavour that we've already got there. Ragu, we're going to make a quick ragu with this later on. This meat is a little different from traditional wild venison. It's young, farm-raised meat. It's very, very tender, so I'm going to sear this off and add it to the sauce and make a stew with that rather than cooking it long and slow. However, you can employ that long and slow cooking method as well. It's fine. With the steaks or cutlets cut from the 8-rib rack, a good idea is to cover those with oil as well, but because we're going to use them for summer barbecuing style, we can add different flavours to the oil. I'm going to use a little garlic and some fresh fine herb, just finely chopped, and a little bit of garlic, just crushed garlic, some black pepper, and some of our vegetable oil. Now, you could use an olive oil if the dish particularly called for that sort of Mediterranean olive oil type flavours. However, a good vegetable oil is perfectly adequate as well and less expensive. So all we've done is made this little oil up, and we just cover the meat with that. We'd let that stand. You could let it stand overnight actually, and it would just add a little bit of flavour to the dish. It won't spoil the meat flavour. We're adding no acid or wine or anything to upset the pH balance of the meat or to alter the protein. It's still going to retain its natural meat flavour, but it's going to have the additional flavours of garlic and fresh herbs in there, which is lovely for the summer. Now, for larger roasts and small leg roasts like we have here, like the Chateaubriand size, we can do that same thing. In terms of storage, we could cover that with oil, keeps it nice and fresh, stops it oxidising, and we can add different flavours to it as well by the way of pepper and salts, herbs and spices, chilies, whatever you particularly want, if you want a particular flavour for a particular dish. So they are the basic tips about storing venison. It is, as I said, very, very lean. There's no fat to form a barrier between the air and the meat, so it's important that you keep it covered to stop it oxidising. And I prefer to use oils with different flavours for that reason rather than just covering it with plastic where it's likely to sweat.